Welcome to an episode of Thoughts of an Average Joe podcast. It is Taroy Jackson, man, your favorite average Joe. Oh, my bad about not being in the camera. I started recording and realized that I ain't turned the video on. It's not gonna be a long episode, man. I gotta get ready to go to work and I gotta be at work in 2 hours, so it's not gonna be a real long episode. But I just wanted to touch on part two of the Paycheck series. This one is mental rent is due two, which is going to be basically we're talking about the emotional cost of it being on heavy on your mind, body, and spirit, especially on your body. Because I live paycheck to paycheck, most of the time I have to work two jobs, right? And if I have to work two jobs, most of the time it's two full-time jobs. So now you're looking at 24 hours in a day. That's 16 hours right there. Now I got 8 hours to spend with my loved ones, sleep, my dogs. Like, it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but just, it's like you have to grind to just get ahead. And it shouldn't be like that, but it is. So part one was the cycle, how we're talking about how, pretty much everybody's living paycheck to paycheck. The real unrealistic expectations of dating when it comes to living paycheck to paycheck, things like that. So this episode is less about money, but more on the mental toll of it, right? So we're going to touch on the emotional and physical aspect of it, right? So there's only been one time where I worked two jobs and still had an adequate amount of sleep. I would say was when I was working a light and Convergys, because I was full time at both, but not really, because I was working 40 hours at a light and 32 at Convergys. So what I would do is I would work a light 8 to 4:30, and then I would work Convergys 6 to 11, Monday through Friday, and then Saturday I will come in and work like an 8 to 5 shift, so I can still get my Wait, let me see. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 would be 30. So yeah, I ended up with about like 37, 38 hours, or maybe I worked 7 to 11. It might have been something like that. But that was the best out of the jobs that I worked, because I still had an adequate amount of sleep. Because I would get off at 12 and I had to be at work take the next day, so I would go home, go to sleep. And my jobs weren't that far from each other. But now working two jobs is very taxing on my body. I don't get enough sleep. I end up becoming sick a lot because I don't get enough sleep. I don't really. Everybody says I work too much. I'm like, yeah, but I don't have a good paying job to where I can only work one job. So if I did, I wouldn't have to work two. I'm basically, you know what I'm saying, people be living in fight or flight every payday. And the stress of, will this check stretch this time? Which is very true. Like, I got to pick and choose what check needs to pay what. I can't just be like, oh, okay, I got it, so I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. No, I got to pick and choose. Like, okay, rent's coming up, right? I got rent coming up. So, it's rent coming up. Then, cool, I need to make sure I save enough money to pay my rent. That's like two checks, right? Because, if you get paid weekly. And then, I still got rent, lights, car note, insurance, phone bill. You know what I'm saying? Like, all it, like, it's so stressful. It is so stressful living paycheck to paycheck. Like, really trying to monitor what paycheck's going where, and then trying to have just a little bit of fun for yourself, right? And that's hard, because it's not necessarily like you're always going to be able to have that. It's extremely hard. The constant grind of having to work two jobs, right? That lifestyle definitely impacts my ability to focus, plan, and feel safe, because number one, if you're living on your own and you're working two jobs, right, and you don't have a work from home job, people can kind of get used to your pattern of, oh, okay, well, he at work. So it's easy to just try to go up and try to sneak into his apartment or his house and steal some shit because he's not there, you know? You're not there. You're never really home. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're basically working to, you know what I'm saying, live, to see your house maybe 2 days out the week. I would say the best, like, when I had the two jobs, it was best. Like, having two jobs to me ain't that bad if you are under the, like, if you're both off the same days. Like, if you're off both jobs, like, I remember when I first moved in to this apartment, I was working Monday through Friday at one job, and then Monday through Friday, the other job, but it was overnight. So I would be off. I would work into Saturday morning and be off all day Saturday, all day Sunday. That's the best because at least I know I got my weekends to myself. If I need to pod, I can pod. If I need to recharge, I can recharge. But it's extremely difficult trying to work two jobs and you don't necessarily have a off day in between, like not a straight off day. Like you may be off at one job for 2 days and another job for 2 days, but they're not the same off day. That's extremely difficult because then it's like, where do I find time to sleep? Where do you find time to date? Where do you find time to relax or go out with friends? You don't. You don't really have that luxury, unfortunately, because you're always working. Um Shoot, especially now, man, like let's talk about the quiet panic when it comes to checking your bank account, right? Especially living paycheck to paycheck. Even if I do have some additional money, like I remember a couple weeks ago I went to Burlington. I don't know what the hell I spent, but I spent like $130. And I didn't want to check my bank account like, damn, how much money I got left? Like I hate sometimes when you just be going on these spending rants, these spending tangents, not on purpose, but it's just, these spending tangents and you be trying to figure out how much money do I have left? Please, how much money do I have left? Like, please make sure I have enough to get it through the week. Like this week, not gonna hold you. I got $20 till I get paid, and that's this week. I've been having to stretch $20 for a long time, and I gotta get gas. But luckily, I have like some food. It ain't the best because I don't know how when I cooked it, I ain't cook it right. But I'm gonna put some seasoning on it, and I'm gonna eat it because that's my life right now until I get paid again. And then even then, like, can't really do a whole bunch because I still gotta pay my insurance, all this other shit. Like, so, you know what I'm saying? Like, I work two jobs. If I work one job, I would have like maybe like $200 left over a month. So that's why I try to work two jobs so I have some extra flexibility. My bad. So I have some extra flexibility and then try to save, right? But like I said, where do you fit time in with your loved ones, your parents? If you got a girl, if you got a boyfriend or whatever, where do you fit that time in? If you got kids, where do you fit that time in? That's probably why people always ask why I don't have kids, and I say it's because I'm not financially ready to have kids. Like if I got to work two jobs to support myself, where do I find time to fit my kid in there? Because working one job and not being able to support myself, and all of a sudden I got a kid, that's gonna make it like I'm not gonna be able to do that. Because I could barely work one to support myself. Now I got a whole human being that I got to support. Where am I going to find time in that? Where do you find the balance in that? Um, um, Mental health consequences, right? Anxiety and depression linked to instability. I agree with that 100%. There are times a lot of women say, right, men are mean when they're broke or when they have money issues. And I agree with that to a certain extent, but I don't necessarily feel like that's all on a man. A lot of that it comes from the woman's fault because women in this generation have made it so much pressure to where men have to be like, oh, you have to do this for me, you have to do that for me. So then when we don't do it, of course we're not gonna come to you because nine times if you got if I ain't gonna say not six out of 10 women, if you fall flat on your ass, they not really about to hold you down like that. Like they not about to be like, I got us. You worry about what you got to do to make sure you get back on your feet. No, because and they expect the men if they fall flat on their face to make sure they're good. It's not really the other way around. So yes, men are mean when they going through money issues because who can they rely on? Honestly, if we're being for real, who can they rely on for real? For real. If we're being honest and for real, who can they rely on? Nobody. So therefore, it's always a mental toll. Um, it's always a mental toll. Even me, shit. When I don't have my money right, at times I won't get mean, but I will get depressed. Like if I'm like if I don't got a job, like it may not be like the in your face depression, but it's a silent depression. Like I sleep a lot. I'm worried how I'm gonna pay my bills. I'm worried if if I'm gonna be able to make it. Like when I'm able to get another job, is my car gonna get repossessed? Like all that shit, yo. Like that is a real thing. So yeah, anxiety. I definitely have real bad anxiety. Like when my money's not right. Like not necessarily when my money's not right. Like if I have a job, but mainly if my money's not right and I don't have a job. Like when I was going through the whole Cigna thing, even though I still had the job, I still had anxiety because you're living on edge. Like it wasn't like they was like, oh, we'll get back to you in a month. It was literally a day by day thing of when they're going to respond to me to let me know whether I still have my job or not. Like I'm saying, like that is extreme anxiety, right? Extreme anxiety. And I was nervous. I was definitely nervous. I've gone through stretches where I didn't have a job, and yeah, I get a little depressed. Like I don't get mean, but I get a little depressed. Like because you got to have money in this world. These bills don't stop, right? These bills don't stop for nobody. They stop for absolutely nobody. So whether you have a job or you don't got a job, people still expect you to pay what you owe. It's not like the world stops and we'll wait for you to catch up. Um, the feeling of being a failure despite working hard. I can understand that because you work hard and it's like you don't really have nothing to show for it. What do you have to show for it? You don't have nothing to show for it. Like you work hard, but where's the results? I'm working hard, but I'm not seeing it in my pay or I'm not seeing it in my bank account. I work my ass off, but like I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. So at times I feel like, especially at my age, about to be 36, I feel sometimes like I failed because it's like I'm not where I feel like I'm nowhere near where I should be at age 36, right? I'm still at 36 trying to find me a steady career, like an actual career, instead of just getting these jobs to just pay the bills. I want something I can actually grow in, mature in. You know what I'm saying? Like somewhere I can see myself long term to where I can then I could plan to start, buying a house or having a family. Cause like in order to buy a house, right, you gotta have some type of steady employment. Like I could be working all year round, but if I don't have a steady job, I highly doubt it's gonna be hard for me to buy a house because they're gonna be looking like. I think most of the time they want you to buy like when you buy a house. I'm not 100% sure, but I think most of the time when you buy a house, like they want you at your job for like 3 years. That's extremely difficult because I ain't. No offense, but I ain't done that. So that's really what I'm looking forward to. Like that's my goal. I think that's my. I remember on this podcast I said my goal was before was to get a car and have a new place. And I did that. So now my goal is just to find a career. Find a career where I can steadily grow in so I can be good at, right? So therefore I can move on to the next phase of my life. And then also, man, money guilt, right? Feeling bad about any small enjoyment. Coffee, lunch out, bowling, like it's like, damn, you shouldn't feel bad for taking yourself out to eat. And it's like people will make you feel bad, especially if people depend on you. Like if you got a girl you're talking to and she need help and you normally help her at the expense of you and you can't help her. So now it's like she's like, oh, why you don't got no money? Because bitch, really don't have it to begin with, but I sacrificed it for you and I really don't have it to begin with. So yeah, like you're saying, you feel bad when people be like, hey, like you going bowling or okay, big money. Like it's not big money. Like I try to tell people, right? People be like, why I don't go on trips? Because I was like, a trip for you, right? A trip for you that could be a couple months may take me a year and a half to plan because I got to plan it accordingly to my budget. So therefore, it takes long for me to do shit that I really want to do. Then when I do go on that budget, I gotta adhere and stick to. If I do go on a trip, I gotta adhere and stick to that budget. Otherwise, I'm gonna come back and be like, damn, how am I gonna pay? Like you're saying, what am I gonna do if I overspend? How am I gonna pay my rent? How am I gonna pay my bills? So, um, internalizing the struggle. Why people blame themselves when they're struggling? So in my instance, I blame myself because I was working when I was living at home, but I wasn't necessarily really saving like I should, right? Um, so I'm not going to say I put myself in this position. I could have done a better job managing my money, but also I just feel like jobs don't pay enough to begin with. The job ratio, the job to income ratio, it doesn't really add up. But yeah, that could, that's a thing. People blaming themselves because they're struggling. In all actuality, sometimes it's our fault. Sometimes it's jobs just don't pay enough. Like you got a master's degree and they only trying to pay you $20 an hour. Like that don't make no sense. Like what are we doing in life? Um, toxic positivity. Just hustle harder versus being honest and burnt out. This is my issue, right? When I work the 2 jobs, I'll work the 2 jobs, but I'll get burnt out. And then I'll need to take time off for X, Y, and Z and all this other shit. I know they're trying to crack down on employees working 2 jobs. Like they're saying, like, and some companies are saying like it's against their law or whatever. But it's like, well, then pay me. If you pay me enough to where I don't got to work 2 full-time jobs, then I wouldn't have to work 2 jobs. But you don't pay me. But yeah, you want me to focus only on your job, but you don't pay me enough. If you're going to work 2 jobs, like, you're going to get burnt out. I know a friend who works 3 jobs. I don't know how she do it. I have no idea how she does it. But yeah, if you work 2 jobs, you're going to get burnt out. It just depends on like how you manage your time in regards to sleep, in regards to going out. You know what I treat 2 people like 2 jobs, right? When you're dealing with somebody who got 2 jobs, you got to treat them like how you would treat a parent with kids. You have to plan in advance. So if you want them to go out somewhere, cool. You got to tell them at least 3 weeks in advance. Like, hey, on this date, on your day off, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to go out or X, Y, and Z. So they know and they can properly prepare. But telling somebody last minute, it ain't going to work. You telling somebody last minute you want to go out and they work 2 jobs or they hustling like that, it's not going to work. I can tell you that right now. It's not going to work. Comparison culture. Watching others win while you feel stuck. That's a real thing. Some of my friends are doing good for themselves, and I don't say I feel stuck, but it's like when can I? And some of my friends are doing well, but they were like me, and they called a break. A friend or family member got them a good paying job, and they've been able to stay there. And I just be trying to figure out, when is my break, right? When am I going to get that lucky break to where I can finally live not a comfortable life? That's all I really want to live, just a comfortable life. Like, when am I going to get that to where I can be like, okay, now I'm starting to see the fruits of my labor. I'm starting to see like, hey, like this, like I can get with this. I can do what I have to do and still be comfortable and still work on every other thing that I have to do. Like, when is my break going to happen? Shit, canceling plans because you're broke. I've done that plenty of times. Shit, just last year, me, Warren, and Tyler went to Buffalo Wild Wings late in December to watch Eagles Commanders, right? The infamous, if you saw the TikTok where I got pissed because we lost. I didn't want to go first because I ain't had the money. And I told him, like, hey, bro, I'm broke. Like, I ain't got it. And they held me down. They was able to pay for me because they know that I would do the same for them. But it's a lot of times people cancel plans because they're broke. And depending on your friends, especially now in the social media age, friends will try to exploit that you're broke on social media and be like, this broke. Now you're like, no. Like, we're not going to do that. So yeah, no. Like, I understand why people cancel plans because they're broke. Because if you're broke, why would... If you're broke, you really should. I ain't gonna say you shouldn't be going out because I feel like broke people need to have fun too. Hell, I'm broke and I still try to make sure I have fun. But it's just being upfront with whoever you're going out with. Like, hey, if you want me to go out, you're gonna have to spot me because I don't got it like that. If not, I can't go out, and that's a real thing, and it's okay. You shouldn't be ashamed to say that. Like, it's okay. You should not be ashamed to say that. If they're your friends and they got it, they gonna make sure you're straight. If they're your real friends, I feel like this is a struggling to be present in a relationship when money is tight. It is all well and good when you have money. When you don't have money, you get to see who you're really dealing with, right? And sometimes as men, we struggle to be present when our money isn't tight because we were taught to be the provider. So how can you provide if you don't have the money, right? So we shut down. And also because women... Also because women, have they will use that against you, right? They'll use it against you to where you don't, not all women, but some women will, will use it against you to where if you don't have no money, it'll come back in an argument. Maybe not now, but later, and be like, I can't believe you doing this to me. And when you was down and out, I stayed true to your broke ass or some shit like that. Like nobody wants to see that shit get thrown in their face, right? And yeah, like that's not cool at all. That's not cool at all. It's not cool at all, and I don't understand. In this society, dating with financial stress, resentment, miscommunication, and guilt is a lot. Because I feel like this is the most unrealistic expectation generation that we have, right? That's exactly what it is. The most unrealistic expectation generation. So it's not like to where I feel like a lot of women, when you're going through struggles financially, most women are not going to understand. They just want you to figure out how to fix it and then let them know when they fix it. Like they don't want to deal with you when you don't have the money. And it's like, if you don't have the money, right? Like, how am I going to deal? Like, how can I don't know. For me, it's like, how do I truly know you're for me if when I'm down and out, you don't care to be there, but you say that you love me, right? Like, it doesn't work like that. Yeah. Like, it don't, you know what I'm saying? It don't work like that. So we're gonna wrap this up soon. All right, so the physical effects nobody talks about. Headaches, loss of sleep, body tension from financial stress. There's days where my money is tight, right? And there's days where my money is tight and I can't sleep. I cannot sleep. Like, if, perfect example. 2 weeks ago, I was behind on my car note, right? Because I'm being transparent with y'all. Probably about like a good 2 months behind on my car note. And I could make the payment, but I wanted to make it by like the 18th, and they was like, you have until the 7th. They was like, if you give it to the 7th, we could push 2 car notes to the back, but you got to have it by the 7th. And I was stressed. I'm trying to figure out how the fuck I'm gonna come up with this money, and I still got to, you know what I'm saying? I still got to pay rent. I still got insurance. I still got phone bill. Like, how am I gonna come up with this bread? And I wasn't able to sleep. I was losing sleep. I was stressed. I'm in the shower contemplating life. I'm in the shower praying to God. I'm in the shower, tears rolling down my face. Because, everybody got their own shit. Like, I'm not about to ask, like, I feel like, right, last summer, I don't want to say I used up my goodwill when it comes to my friends, because I feel like I don't. But I don't like asking my friends to be like, hey, let me borrow some money. Like, I'm saying, Warren got 2 kids, Tyler got 2 kids. Like, they got their own shit. So, in theory, if by social media standards, I shouldn't be struggling because I don't have any kids. Like, I'm saying, like, but just because you don't have any kids don't mean that you can't struggle, because life be fucking lifing. But people don't understand that. This is a major one. You're eating less or poorly due to tight budgets. Like, I remember when I was at FAMU, I didn't have no bread like that. So every day for like 2 months straight, or for a month straight, I had some type of pastaroni, cream of wheat, and pancakes. That's how I got by. Because my parents believed that $100 per paycheck, $100 a month was going to hold me over, and I just had got a car. That wasn't really going to work. And I had to survive off of that, and I made it work. Would I ever do that shit again? No. I worked 2 jobs so I could so I could live a little comfortable. I'd be tired. I feel like unless you have a good paying job, comfortability comes at a price. If you don't have a good paying job and you got to work 2 jobs, you can be comfortable, but comfortability comes at a price. And people ignore health problems because you can't afford care. Healthcare is expensive out here. Dentist, vision, medical, it's all, you go to the dentist. Going to the dentist, right, honestly, is like going to going to get your car service, right? And all of a sudden they come back with a million gazillion problems, right? It's the same shit going to the dentist. You go to the dentist for a cleaning. Next thing you know, you got a cavity, root canal, all this and all that. And it's like, you got to get it done. And I'm like, but I ain't got no money for it. What money do I have to get it done? I have absolutely no money for this. And it's so stressful. It's so depressing because you don't know how you're going to get this shit done. And then you end up having bad teeth or whatever. And then people make fun of you, but it's not necessarily your fault. All right, so let's wrap it up, man. Just a few thoughts here. Let's normalize the emotional roller coaster of survival mode. It is an everyday struggle. It is an up and down situation of being living paycheck to paycheck, right? Of trying to survive. It's an emotional roller coaster. One day you're up, next day you're down. One day you're up, next day you're down. You know what I'm saying? It's never like, you may have a couple stretches where it's smooth sailing, but it's not like that all the time. Um, so yeah. Also, man, sometimes you got to think about emotional budgeting. Like, and what I mean by that is, listen, you can only give out so much to so many people, and you gotta stick to that. And once you stick to that, your emotions may be a little better. Um, Also, this is what also, like, right, the stress, real quick, the stress of having two jobs and then you're worried about end up getting fired for one. That is very stressful. Like, if you're on a fringe at one job, that is extremely stressful, because now it's like, damn, I'm working two jobs, I'm about to get fired from one. How am I going to go back to working the one and trying to survive, or can I hurry up and try to find another job? Jobs aren't easy to find like how they used to, man. They're not. So let's wrap this up, man. Final reminder. You are not alone. Your feelings are valid. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, and if you're trying to survive, listen. At some point, I honestly believe at some point a breakthrough is going to come. Once that breakthrough comes, you gotta learn how to manage it. I feel like here's part of my issue. Why I'm not where I should be in life. Because when God gives me two jobs, or jobs to where I can be comfortable, I don't take full advantage of it. So I already told myself, and God, there's a job I really want, and I got to interview for it. If I get it, I'm going to make sure I take full advantage of it, so I can show you that I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this, so that he can bless me with whatever comes next. He's not going to give you this, that you don't handle it, and then bless you with what else he got planned, because you can't handle what he gave you the first time. You got to be able to handle what he gave you the first time. Listen, it's okay to rest without guilt, right? Sometimes, like, if you work in two jobs, you need to call out and want to be late for one to get an extra rest. Do that. I'm a full component of doing that. Not often, but do that. Or plan. You know what I'm saying, plan PTO. You know what I'm saying? Plan PTO. So next week's episode, right? I have Tyler on. It's going to be called Love Cost 2, Dating While Broke. That was a good discussion me and Tyler had. So yeah. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for laughing. Subscribe to the YouTube, man. The Average Show Media LLC. Subscribe to that. Share it with a friend. Share the podcast with a friend. Share it with another friend. I appreciate y'all for listening. This is part 2 of the Paycheck to Paycheck, the Silent Struggle series. Part 3 is next week. I'm Taroy, man. It's your favorite average show. Peace.